Good morning, Charlotte. How are you?
I'm doing great, Elaine. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. So I'm ready to learn from you along with the others. So take it away.
All right. Well, I'm happy to be here again this morning. Yesterday, we started on this journey of looking at NSTA Interactive eBooks. So let me first say I'm happy to be here this morning and hope this is something that folks will find useful. These can be used literally K through 12 science. And also what's exciting about it, since they are interactive books, you could also use this in as part of your reading as well. So I think Lacey Eccles is in the chat for us this morning. So if you have questions, feel free to throw those out there and she'll be happy to kind of pick those up. So I'm going to go on ahead and share my screen. Elaine, if you can check me to make sure that it shares and that I've got my closed captioning on.
Okay.
That would be great.
Absolutely.
A little information about it. So these are produced by the National Science Teacher Association, or NSTA. And what's exciting about these are there are so many ways that these books are interactive. And so, so many kids today are really into technology and being able to do things. So this is not your old school reading like I would be used to. And so that's one of the things that's, I think, pretty exciting about this. The other thing that I think is really nice is it's broken into the different grade levels, which we'll see in just a moment as we begin to kind of navigate through some of the ebooks. If you want to go ahead and click to the next slide. So one of the things that you'll notice about these books are there are all kinds of things like simulations, animations, videos, all of those kinds of things, which once again make it very interesting for our students. Go ahead and click to the next slide. So once again, here are some of the features. One of the features I love about it is it has embedded vocabulary. You can click on the vocabulary and the kids will get to see what those definitions are. And generally in science, we usually don't do the reading until towards the end because, as you can imagine, science is a lot more hands-on. But in these times when, we can't necessarily, or all students may not have access to this, this is definitely something that can be used. I want to click on the next slide there for me, Elaine. So the other thing I wanted to kind of talk about, so how do you align this to the normal science standards that we do? So one of the things that I wanted to point out when teachers are planning and trying to figure out which of these that they might want to use, one of the cool things are that they can literally go into their standards book and look at different standard pages and use these to plan. So the one that I have up here for you now, which is just kind of an easy way, is looking at one of the science practices. And this happens to be SCP number 8, which is all about obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. And so this tool can be found with the next generation science standards. And once again, what's nice about this is you can see how it's broken down between the different grade levels. I want to click on the next slide there for me, Elaine. Thank you. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to go into the interactive books themselves. So Elaine, if you don't mind clicking on that for me, and we should see now, you'll see that we are actually on the site. And so a couple of things that I want to point out. If you look at the top, you should see where on the top left, it should say K5, and then you should have 6 through 12, and then finally you'll have professional. So Elaine, if you're going ahead and click on where it says professional. All right, so when you look at the professional, this is really like the teacher's guide, right? So as you look at the different titles, if you want to kind of scroll down there slowly for us, Elaine, and folks can look at the different titles that we have, you can see that by just looking at the titles, you'll see that those topics align pretty nicely with the next generation science standards. So there's a really good fit with that. If you keep scrolling down for us, Elaine, I want you to click on the one that says flow of matter and energy in the ecosystems. Go back up a little bit. There you go. It's blue and got the green globe on it. If you'll click on that one for us. Thank you very much. So what you'll see here is this is what the book would look like itself. And like I said, this one would be one to be used by a teacher. And literally, it's for a teacher to kind of review their content knowledge. If you scroll down just a little bit more for me, Elaine, you'll see the blue button is how you get back to all the ebook titles, which we'll go back to in just a moment. But then you also see the table of contents for all the different things that are within the ebook. So if you'll go back up just for us in that first or second chapter, you're going ahead and click on Matter and Ecosystems. It's in that, I think, number 2. If you can click on that link for us, and we're going to just dive into this particular book for a little bit. Once again, you can see that, there's lots of great pictures. There's a link down there for checking on your thinking. As you go to the next page here, you'll just see some of the things. And once again, remember this one, we're right now on professional. And when you're on professional, that's really meant for teachers. Could you possibly use it with students? Yeah, I think you could. And at the end, once we get through looking at some of these ebooks, I'll talk to you a little bit about how easy this is to use and how you can easily insert these links within the Google Classroom. So, Elaine, if you want to go on ahead and go back to all ebooks. Thank you very much. And then what I'd like you to do is if you'll click on grades 6 through 12 for us. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing. So what you should notice as Elaine kind of scrolls down, these titles are exactly the same as what we just saw in the professional. The difference being now you are looking at a student view or a student book. Yeah, if you're going to click on that exact same one, thank you, Elaine. You're like reading my mind for me. You'll see once again that it looks very similar, but you'll notice that there's not quite as many topics on it because once again it's from a student's point of view. So if you'll click in just a couple of these, we'll look at just a couple of pages. So once again, you'll see the introduction, you'll see some safety that you can click on. You'll see here, if you want to click on that interactive for us, Elaine, we'll kind of just look at that one really quickly. And so this is an interactive on looking at plant matter. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's going to work there or not. Yeah, if it's not, that's okay. We can go ahead and click back out of that one because what I want to do is kind of dive a little more deeply. So once again, if you go back down and click on all ebooks. And so now what I want to do, let's go into the K5. And Elaine, we're going to actually click on the one. You can actually, let's scroll down real quick and let folks just kind of see the type of the topics. Once again, this is kindergarten through 5th grade. Now, the one piece that teachers will need to do is these are not automatically aligned to NGSS standards. So teachers will need to look at what they're currently teaching in their grade level and try to think about and try to figure out which topics would work for the different grade levels. Elaine, if we go back up to the top, you will see one, Beavers Building Ecosystems. Let's go ahead and click on that book. And we're going to kind of walk through this book a little bit so that we can see some of the features that are here. So if you want to click on one of the vocabulary links that are in blue, so folks can see once again, students can then click on that and then they'll get a definition. Let's kind of keep going through here a little bit, Elaine. Thank you. Appreciate you driving for me. So what I like about this is so you'll see the reading, right? And you see a picture of a beaver. So if the students are not really sure what to do with this page, if you click down to where the hand is for me, so it literally will tell students what they need to do. And this is actually a slideshow. So as you click through this slideshow, we're looking at different body parts of a beaver and like kind of what their function is within. All right, let's go ahead and go to the next one for me there, Elaine, the next page, if you don't mind.
We have
Sorry.
lots of talking about in the chat of do it, and they've already talked about how this is free right now for NTI.
Yeah.
As well
Yes.
as, so Lacey did say they don't have to have a username and password. So you saw how we just went in directly, and I was a separate user and didn't need to click on any type of a username and password. And I'm thinking, this is an amazing resource. Thank you guys for sharing this.
Yeah, it is awesome. And what you'll see towards the end, we'll go into just a little Google Classroom that I created. And literally what you can do is you can go up here to the top in your box, and you can highlight on your, I guess it's your URL or whatever at the top, and you can literally copy and paste, and you can assign it that easily in a classroom for your students.
So you would just make it as a link in your assignment, and then it would take the students directly there. I love it. I love it. And it just a little tip, a little tech tip. If you look up here in the URL box, it's going to take you, notice that URL changes every time you change that page. And so if you just wanted to highlight one simple page, then you would use that URL. So if I linked this URL, it's going to take the kids directly to page 5.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's play with this one because I kind of like this one. So once again, you click on the little hand and it gives you like a little hint if kids aren't already aware. And as you can see, Elaine is trying to drag different things over. And then it's telling you why the beaver could not use that to build the dam. And then ultimately, if you drag those little logs over.
It says the water will wash away the small sticks, but it won't let me, let's see, it won't let me, I'm going to reset it. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, reset it and try the logs.
Okay.
Can you just click on them?
Oh, that's it. I was trying to drag. Okay, so you just click on it and it moved. Okay.
Yeah. And there should be, I don't know if we can hear it here, but there is a sound of the water flowing before and after. So
let me try to do this little, I'd have to mute myself real quick. I don't know if that's going to work. Let's see. Can you hear it? Yeah, there's water.
I think you can hear it just a little bit.
Yep.
Anyway, let's go ahead and click on to the next page, just because there's so many different features that we want to show here. Once again, another slideshow. Mm-hmm. There's a check your thinking. So you can see there's all kinds of embedded questions in here. And so students could, once again, do this independently, or you could do just like what we're doing right now. And you could do this with your class, and you could do it kind of all together, and you could do the questions.
So during that group chat or the group meeting with the Google Meet, you could just do this exactly thing, and you could have like your read aloud that you were going to do, and walk them through what maybe one of your assignments would be. Goodness.
Right. And even if you want to push yourself further, we're always talking about, how can we differentiate? Well, think about this. Obviously you could have some kids that want to do it independently. You could have other kids that would rather get on and meet with you and do it together in a small group. There's all different, ways that you can do this. And I love some of the things. So this one's just a little video that you could watch if you want to click on that one, Elaine, just to show you some of the different features.
And of course it has sound, but because I have 2 devices going, it's going to do that echoing.
You're perfectly fine.
Look at that beaver. It's a great video too. I'm not sure if everybody on our stream can see how it's a very clear video. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And in case anybody's interested, the reason why I picked this one is I actually live on a farm. And we have a beaver visiting our pond. I think it was like kind of a short-term visit. So my husband and I had been doing some research, and it was just really funny when I got into these. I was like, oh, wow, look at that. So that's kind of cool.
We do have a question in the chat that says, are there other language options available?
I have not found that, but maybe some of our techie folks, I don't know if there's a way that you can connect it up with something else that might be able to do that. On the NSTA eBooks, interactive ebook site itself, that is not currently an option that's on there.
And any type of add-on like read and write would hopefully be able to work for our readers, for students that need that. So read and write is it's a embedded screen feature that we have as an add-on for students. Right. So it is an extension. Yes.
Yep. So Elaine, let's go ahead and click on a couple more because I don't think we've got to like no, sorry, stay with this one. Yep, keep going. So this one's kind of cool. So you pick the day, and Elaine, if you'll go over in day one and click down the different boxes. You see where day one is over in the Aspen popular. Yeah, just click in day one in those white boxes, and it's going to show us which of the trees that the beaver likes the most. And then you can click on day two and day three and so forth. And what you do is students will begin collecting data here, right? To see what types of trees that beavers like to eat.
I see. So what they're doing is they're actually taking the information that's on this right, and then they're putting it in the chart based upon what they see.
Correct.
Love it.
And then if you want, Elaine, go ahead and click to the next page.
Oh, neat, neat. So they take this key.
Yep.
And that's telling them what these trees are. Look at this one tree, which is the willow, is right next to the water. So that would need more of a water source.
So look at your hint on this one. So what I like about this is it literally is having you refer back to the table, right? So that now you can begin, kids, you could ask all kinds of questions around this. Now you begin to see patterns of which types of tree the beaver likes best. Let's click on another one. Next page.
Doesn't look like this one has any interactive.
Yep, we'll go through a couple more pages. So here's a different one. So now we're beginning to think about the whole ecosystem that the beaver lives in. Okay. So, all right, Elaine, I think we can probably go ahead and go back out of this and go back to the PowerPoint, because what I want to do is just very quickly be able to show folks how easy this is to use. So right here, I just have a list of things to consider. These are some ways that I think that you could use these NSTA eBooks. You know, you can obviously use it as a link in your Google Classroom. Literally, you copy and paste, and we'll show you that in just a moment. If you needed to, you could email it. You know, you could do this as we are doing right now, or we're just doing, where literally you could have a group of students on there. You could read it together. You could have kids, you know, read to each other. There's all different ways that you can do that. I want to make sure that I continue to focus on that. I think these are very easily to align to the standards, whether you're talking about the DCIs or you're talking about the science and engineering practices or the cross-cutting concepts. In other words, if you think back to what we just looked at, you know, you saw different relationships between the different animals in the ecosystems. You could have students create a model or some kind of a product after they read this. So I think there's all kinds of ways that you could use this in your classroom.
And we just had a question real quick on there. Yeah. All of the links that we are using right now are on the schedule. So they're directly linked right where Charlotte's name is. And then those links are embedded into her presentation for you to have easy access. So,
yeah. And then I probably should also point out that when you go to the teacher resources page, there is a link for science, and there is a ton of other resources on there as well. Some of you may have watched Lacey's session last week on PhET simulations, you know, and you could use several of these things together to help with, you know, a complete classroom picture, so to speak. So Elaine, let's see if you can click onto my Google Classroom, go back one, and yeah, see if you can click into that.
So I can definitely go into my classroom, and we'll just, hopefully it won't mess you too much. And you're welcome to try to share your screen again. But so this is actually one that I've used for my kids today for this whole NTI process, because I needed to do some things. So let's see. We're going to go into this, and you were wanting us to go in and just assign more of read one of these books. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Can they just pick also? They could pick one of these books if you put this link on there, couldn't you, to read?
Correct. You could do that, more general. I probably would try to stick with something, that's more specific to their particular grade level, so that you don't have, your fifth grader and your second grader, all reading the same thing. But yeah, definitely you could do that. So all I really did was I did a link, right? Just as Elaine is demonstrating right now. And I clicked that link in.
You just go ahead and paste it. And
so then that shows you the ebook, right there. And then you literally can, give some kind of instructions on exactly how to do that.
And I just saw on your last slide that they could have a discussion as well on a Jamboard or even a Google slide. So you can create that slide right there if you're not familiar. We do have this back on the channel for you to go back and see Google Classroom for beginners. But you could just have this presentation for that book. Is that what you were thinking, Charlotte, for them to be able to do? And then they could
definitely.
Yeah. And then you have that access to where you could do it where all the kids could do it together, or you could even just have a copy for each student so they could do their own journaling like we talked about on this. So that is awesome.
Yep. So many connections, I think, Elaine, that you can make with that. And then, the Jamboard, the reason why I put that on is, it's super simple to use. And it's an easy way to continue to engage your students around that reading, so that it not only becomes just that textbook that you're looking at, right? So with the Jamboard, what I did, and I just had, and folks can go back in and look at it, I had, a fairly simple way to do that. So we started out with like a question, right? And then it was this very simple question because that particular book is a primary book, right? It's a elementary book. And so literally what I did is had a question as simple as, what do you already know about beavers? And literally, or a question like, what do you want to know about beavers? Which would, get student interest in there, and the kids would, post those questions, and we could go back and talk about those questions, and we could, then, share that. So I could have the kids post on that Jamboard, and then I could do additional ones. Like I could have several different pages of that on there where kids are, continuing to build their knowledge. So just kind of a nice interactive way for students to be able to share and show what they've learned.
And like you said earlier, if you went into the Meet then and you did this interactively, you could have this actual Jamboard up and then do it for them so they could watch you do and model what you were wanting them to do as well. So many different ways to use this. I love it. So exciting.
Yeah, so it's a pretty awesome tool, and it's an awesome tool that it is free to us. And I'm going to say to you that, and Elaine probably knows this about me, I'm a little old school. Actually, I'm a little old. I'm a little old school, and the whole techie piece is a little new to me. And that's what I like about it. I feel like if I can use it, probably anybody can use it. And that's the part I like. And the same thing with Jamboard. Jamboard was one of those things I jumped on, and literally, within 20 minutes or so, it was pretty easy to use. So
right. And we have, just to remind everybody, we have Cheryl Bibby is going to be on tomorrow, I think at 10:30. And then I'm going to even dive deeper into Jamboard at 10:30 as well on Friday. So if you are a little nervous about taking it, but Charlotte, we've all grown in this process, and we call it digital agility, and we're all just being able to. We just need a little bit of a push, and we're growing together. So I love that, and it's definitely awesome. So, Charlotte, did we get everything that you wanted to share with everybody? Didn't want to cut you off.
I would just say, this is a good resource. If folks are still, science folks are still looking for resources, please feel free to, give a shout out, email myself, Lacey, or Michelle. And also just know that, there are a lot of resources. If you go to the NTI support page, on there are resources for teachers, and there's a box on there specifically for science, and you can find all kinds of great things there.
And I need to correct myself. Cheryl is today at 2:30. So make sure you tune in today at 2:30. I guess I just thought that today was Tuesday rather than Thursday. But also, so tomorrow is when I share. But so Cheryl will be there at 2:30. And we did have a question. Is it okay to read these eBooks aloud in the Screencastify?
I can't see any reason why that wouldn't be okay. I think, teachers know their students. And I think that's where, teachers need to figure out exactly how they want to use these, and what kind of methods they want to use, whether they want to go with it independently, whether they want to do it all together as a group, or do some variation of that.
Exactly. And anytime you do something on Screencastify, if you are going to publish it, you would most likely publish it in your Google Classroom. So you probably aren't going to put it on YouTube. But if you do, it seems as if these are published and anybody can get to it. So just exactly what you said. Charlotte, thank you so much for joining us and sharing this. It's awesome information. And actually, I can't wait to dive into these with my own kids. So this will be great.
Yeah, let us know how they like them, Elaine. I'm sure they'll love them.
I will. Absolutely. I'll send you a little video too.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
It would be good. Oh, you too.